back to this special edition of Lawton's Legacy. And joining me today is City Manager John Ratliff. I'm Lawton City Mayor Stan Booker. And we're talking about the 2019 PROPEL, because PROPEL 2019 is quickly becoming the legacy of Lawton, and we call this program Lawton's Legacy. And let's talk a little bit about the Parks and Recreation that's in 2019, and we're going to transition into 2040 because they'll end up blending together once it's all passed. In other words, we finish everything that's listed in 2019. And by the way, everything from 2015 and 16 was blended into 2019. Now we're doing PROPEL 2040, so everything will be completely done. I'm excited because let's start with just something as simple as lighting at the skate park. Tell us about that, and then go into the cameras that we're putting in parks.
So Mayor, as you've often said, parks are extremely vital for the long-term viability for your community. So we want our parks to be safe. We want our parks to, we want people to go there in the evening. So having lighting there and making sure that they are safe is of utmost importance. In addition to that, having security cameras at the park will help us prevent crime and other issues that we've had come up. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of theft at parks. You know, recently we had some copper wiring stolen out of a light post at Greer Park. And our hope is that these motion detected cameras will help us eliminate some of the crime and some of the resource strain associated with that crime, because we're putting money in our parks and we want that money to stay there. And so if we're having to replace light posts and copper wiring and other recreation and play structures that are stolen, that's money that we can invest into other things and into park improvements.
Thank you, John. And I'm going to tell you, I've got this vision that we will someday have cameras in every park, and that we will have one person sitting at dispatch that watches all the different parks. And of course, when there's motion at one, for instance, at night when the vandalism happens, that camera would come on and we would see it and dispatch the police. We have to continually be investing in things that help our police be more efficient. And if we can monitor something by video, it helps our police department fight crime. Number one thing that we do in the city is public safety. Now, John, the other thing, I'm so excited. We've got our master plan on Elmer Thomas Park. We've voted for the aquatic center. We've and I think we've given some direction. I can't remember exactly what it is on the boardwalk and amphitheater. Can you talk about? Do you remember what exactly we are doing on that? Is it in design?
It is in design. We're still waiting for the 2040 CIP results to come out, so that will drive what we do next. So we're, if I recall correctly, we're done with the conceptual portion of those projects, and so now we're just identifying resources, and once that is identified, we'll move forward.
And we've done playground upgrades. We've authorized $1.5 million in non-major parks. So that would be some of our smaller parks that we have around are getting new upgrades. And because we had the PROPEL CIP, for 2019 CIP, and the funds available, and we dedicated $1.5 million, our Parks Department and Larry Parks, director, went out and got some kind of grant called a Spark grant or something. What can you tell us about that?
So Mayor, the Spark grant will allow us to buy the actual playground structure that goes into the parks itself for kids to play on. It's a 50-50 matching grant, and so we'll pay for half of that structure. The grant will pay for the other half, and it just allows us to extend the resources that council allocated for parks and park maintenance and park improvement to other things. So we can get all of the playground structures that we want to get, and then we can do additional things with the money that we thought we were going to spend on that. So we're very excited about that, and that was a huge huge get for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Now, we've also given direction to get 3 splash pads going. It seems like one east and west and one kind of in the center. That's ongoing design, is that right?
Those are ongoing. As soon as we have resources allocated for those splash pads, we'll go right into construction.
We are going to have water features, water recreation features, might say, all over town. It's going to be amazing next year.
And with the hope that the CIP passes, we'll have the aquatics park in Elmer Thomas. That's going to be an amazing facility.
So one of the things that I'm so excited about in Propel 2040 is that 1/4 cent is dedicated to parks. Now, we got this idea from Norman. As I've said before, we go out and study successful cities to see what ideas that we can bring here. And what we're doing is dedicating 1/4 cent to keep our parks going. Now listen, this isn't mowing the grass. This money has to be used for capital items, not for maintenance. So what are we going to do with this money? As park equipment wears out. And we have, how many parks do we have?
75.
75 parks roughly. I actually thought it was a little higher than that, but when you have 75 parks, you can't go out and buy equipment all in one year, and you have to constantly be buying equipment, constantly applying for grants. And I really love the way we're using that money to stretch, the grant money to stretch our dollars. As a citizen, I like knowing, because of years of neglect of the parks, that we are requiring future councils and future staff to spend 1/4 cent keeping our parks up. I'm going to tell you something. You cannot be a community of choice where families thrive if you are not investing in your parks. And when you look at Oklahoma City and Scissortail Park and all that's done along the river and the Riverwalk, that's all parks and recreation money. And so what do we have planned for 2040? That long-awaited indoor sports complex. There's a lot of talk about a ballpark like at Chickasha, which brings 400,000 visitors to the city of Chickasha every year. Yes, it's an economic development tool, and we have to be thinking that way. We can reach these goals when the citizens pass a Propel 2040. Let me say again, you send your elected officials to office, and they are presenting to you the plan of the future. That's why you send them there. How are you going to take us to the future, elected officials? And they're saying, this is our plan, the Propel 2040. So we're excited about all the things that are happening in Propel 2019. You see them all over town. You read about them in the paper. You see them on TV. Propel 2040 will, hey, it will really propel us to the future.